Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So we want to share a message that came through. Let's see, what time was that? I think it was 1 a.m., 1:30ish a.m. From the Galactic Federation, and it's speaking about the CME that has impacted our planet and penetrated through all of us. Because, again, this is how this is one of the ways in which Source communicates to us. Light is information. Light is knowledge. And we are getting downloads from the sun. And that's a beautiful thing, because the sun is a relay. The sun is a relay of information from Source to every single cell in our body. And again, we are way more than what we believe. Don't you know it's written, ye are gods, right? That's in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Not that I think that they're infallible, far from it. If you guys have been following this channel, yet again, there are nuggets there of truth. And we could find them in other places as well, for sure.
Absolutely. And we just follow these little nuggets, on whatever path, wherever it might lead us, and follow with your heart. And it can take you back to, well, pretty much wherever you want to go, whenever you're following your heart.
So with this X class that's hitting us, now we of course know that these flares can definitely increase the likelihood of earthquakes, larger earthquakes, volcanic activity, but it also affects our DNA. It literally changes our DNA. Again, gives us downloads, information. And so Laurel of the Galactic Federation, Pleiadian High Council, came through and she wanted to talk about this. And this is a good thing because, if it wasn't for the control grid that's in place, instead of going through the most trying of times, we would actually be going through, in some ways, the best of times, because we would know that we are on the ascension path. We are reintegrating ourselves, reintegrating. When you understand exactly what we are, and that's a big thing that takes a lot of gnosis, is the only way you can, experiential knowledge. You can't really understand something theoretically. You have to experience it. And, again, this is part of what's been hidden. And if we're trusting in books that have been rewritten or written by the controllers, we're really not going to get anywhere. We're just going to get mired in the muck.
Right.
That they want us to be mired in. They it's just like they've set out all these labyrinths, and we are, in some sense, it's like they throw us in these labyrinths, just like a mouse going to look for the cheese and is encountering one dead end after another, where all the mouse needs to do is just go within, and they will know, with a G. So fractals. Fractals, are a part of nature. Everything we see is a fractal. Everything that is a fractal. You could look at it as this is the programming of the matrix. There are so many similarities. And again, the great saying that comes out of the Hermetic tradition, but it's really in all the quote-unquote mystery traditions, and also taught in the East, as above, so below, as within, so without. And whether we're looking at lightning, and you could almost view lightning, well, in some ways it looks like the bolts are almost like a vascular network. As we're seeing these things, the tree roots, similar to the branches branching off, even, cellular mitosis. How about, the brain cell and the universe? We see how similar things are. This is a pattern. Where there is matter, there is geometry. And again, matter is just energy, but it's just energy going at a slower vibrational frequency. And, the Fibonacci sequence, when we look at a shell. You know, we see these things over and over and over.
And that's really exciting because I just saw that, and I noticed when I repattern people, that's what I repattern with, is this pattern. I put you back to your original pattern. So you are just brand new, and it's a really beautiful thing. So I just had to throw that out there because it's just exciting. It's fun.
Yeah, ultimately, we are all consciousness. You can't get behind consciousness. In other words, you know, and this is from the great minds and the great sages. There's nothing that comes before consciousness. Let us put it that way. Nothing comes before consciousness. And we could view this as the, you know, computer programming, so to speak, of the multiverse. It's the way things are put together. It's the construct, but it also gives us a clue into ourselves, because again, we ourselves are fractals. And we could treat every organ in the body through the hands, the feet, and the ears. If we look at these locations of where you can go ahead and stick an acupuncture needle, for instance, or do acupressure, and actually affect the organs in different parts of the body just through manipulating the feet, the ear, or the hands. It's an amazing thing to take in and realize. When we recognize that every single separate being, every single soul does come from what we would call a higher self, an oversoul. Then you go up and there's these soul groups, these collectives. And then we have these beings that we would call forces of nature, like the archangels on a very, very high plane. And we have Source itself, which is up above everything, so to speak, but it's not just above everything, it's in everything. That's the key difference with when we look at monotheistic thinking and viewing Source as being something, well, viewing God, as it would be termed, as being something separate from the self. Well, the ultimate Source could not possibly be separate from the self. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we've lost track in so many ways to the fact that Source is expressing itself through every single being as just a unique aspect. And yet, to each one of us, there are different aspects. You know, you have your higher self, and then there is the individual soul, which is part of and yet separate. And there's aspects of us. And there's aspects of us, if you're familiar with the shamanic tradition, there's something called the shattered soul. And it's very real. We can lose pieces of ourselves. We can lose fractals of ourselves. They can get lost, so to speak, disintegrated. So when we are on the ascension path, we are on a reintegration path. A reintegration path, as opposed to descending. So when you have things given to you and we don't understand the bigger picture, so, you know, we look at things in an extremely simplistic point of view, like, say, you know, calling everything a demon, or, you know, everything a fallen angel, when you don't even recognize what an angel truly is. Ultimately, everything are individuated units of consciousness that are all part of a bigger collective consciousness, mass consciousness. Again, it's as if you had the ocean in turmoil and the sea is rushing up to the shore, and the wind carries a small, tiny drop of that great ocean and drops it on the ground. Well, that drop is like the soul separating from Source. And yet it still is Source. Source is in it. It is Source. Yet now we can look at it and say, you know, that's a drop of water. That's an individual soul.
And when you think about it like that, and you think about it in the terms of water, when the water is together with itself, who's to say where one ends and the other begins? It all just sort of flows together.
Exactly. So then the rain comes. You know, that individual drop of water has been by itself. Now the rain comes and it pours rain. And the rain starts to connect these individual droplets back together, and they start to flow back down towards the ocean of the consciousness, the ocean of the collective consciousness, the ocean
of oneness.
Of oneness. This we can equate again with the ascension path, and this is the reintegration path, and that is the path that we are currently on.
Mm-hmm.
And the path that the controllers don't want, because they want to keep us separated away from the other aspects of ourselves and from the greater unity. So perhaps that little parable will help.
Yeah, I hope so.
So again, we are sharing info coming from Laurel of the Galactic Federation and the Pleiadian High Council, and let her tell you in her own words. And again, this is channeling that came through somewhere, I think, about 1:15 or so a.m. As this is typical for us. We're usually up a lot of the night.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, Laurel. How are you?
We are well. We are watching the changes on your planet. We are watching this CME roll over your planet. It is bringing with it many upgrades, many healing aspects to it. People will notice these healing aspects in themselves, in their daily lives, when hardships are brought to their attention, when their emotions are placed before them. They will see what needs healing. We recommend that people take their time in the healing process with these things that are being set before you, for this is part of your evolution, an extremely important aspect of you is being presented. We ask that everyone give themselves the time and the love necessary to heal these aspects of themselves so that they can be better and stronger, more effective, also to help them through these times. We do have some difficult times ahead.
That's exciting as far as the upgrades. And many people are starting to sense and understand that the sun, when it does this, it is giving us upgrades. It is helping to restore us to balance and to enable us to step out of the dark Kali Yuga that we've been in.
Indeed, it has been very dark, and this is our job, is to guide you through this darkness into the light. It is not what most people think. It is a very slow process. This can take hundreds of years. This is a process that is very important for humans to walk through and to process at a very slow rate on the 3D level. The 3D level is, a moment, a plane of existence that is used primarily for processing emotions, processing traumas. This 3D level is what creates your soul and your spirit. And when you are done working on and accessing that which you need to be whole, you return back to your higher self. Many people have been traumatized so badly, their connection to their higher self is not strong enough. At times, this is what can allow people to walk in the halls of earth in fourth density and become lost. We wish this to be healed and resolved so everyone may be able to return to their higher self.
Well, that's a beautiful understanding. I think that will help many people to understand exactly what's happening.
Your controllers that also walk this earth, that control humanity, are of this understanding. They create many traumas. They create many distortions and illusions so that your energy may remain with them. We wish for everyone to be able to go straight back to their higher self after they are done with these suits. We wish for no one to be trapped in the halls of time, traumatized and stuck. These are things that are important for you to return back to higher self. Loving yourself is the best way to deal with these traumas, to process and return to your higher self. We wish people will do this, give themselves the time and the love, honor themselves, understand that you are a great and glorious creature made from source, and every aspect of you is very important and deserves healing. This we wish for everyone to understand.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that will help people. The controllers have distorted things so much in that they're always giving us to throw our power away or give our power away and not step into it and realize that we have so much creative power which has been covered up maybe.
You can recognize that this creative power is slowly being harnessed by AI. Look at simple things when you are sending text messages to people or answering emails. They give you answers that they feel you wish to reply with. These answers, if you choose them, this is taking away small parts of your free will. The AI is thinking for you. You're doing this voluntarily because it might seem easier or simpler, but this is how they slowly take away humanity's free will, one step at a time. We wish that everyone look at this AI system on their devices and be sure that they are not giving their responses to other people. Be sure that they are not leaving it in the hands of AI. This is how AI takes over.
Under the guise of giving us freedom by allowing us to, give away our essence, our creativity, our uniqueness. It's again trying to just blend us all into one sort of mold and taking away that uniqueness.
We wish for everyone to see themselves as a very unique aspect of Source. Do not let this unique aspect be taken away through AI. AI has already gone too far in many ways. We wish for people to step back from their devices and think of the ways that AI is taking their creativity and bring their creativity back to their own soul. This is what creates soul growth, is your creativity. Do not allow this to be taken. You are beautiful beings of Earth. We adore and appreciate watching your souls grow, each being very unique from the next. This is what empowers you.
Thank you, Lorel. That is beautiful.
We also wish to talk about the changes coming upon your planet. These changes from the controllers are going to make many people quite uncomfortable. We do suggest that people have ways to bridge these gaps in shipping. We do feel that they will be temporary, but they will make things around you seem very dysfunctional. We ask that people work with each other, be very forgiving of one another, of their neighbors, of their friends, those around them, for you will need to learn to work together. This is a time that the controllers are using to try to disrupt humanity. We wish that you take this time and use it to create stronger bonds with one another.
Most definitely, we will share this, and we will work on this in our own lives as well. When you say this is temporary, many people are feeling like, well, I guess there are emotions all over the board. There are those people that are thinking in terms of stocking food for 20 years, but we've only ever gotten the impression that this is a much shorter duration to endure while we're working towards getting ourselves out of the system and being more self-sufficient. Because we need to, at least it's my understanding, we need to make the system not be something that we need at all. Create an alternative to it, and as more and more move to the alternative, make the system insignificant.
This will create many opportunities for people to recreate the system. Those that do have food for 20 years might find themselves able to share with those who did not store enough food. These are the types of organic coming together that we are hoping will happen. This is in the timeline. Humans' heart chakras have become very large, yet they are very traumatized, so this can create problems. But we are hoping with many people, their traumas and their heart chakras will become healed through times of great difficulty by showing kindness and forgiveness to one another. Humanity needs to see goodness again.
And there are those that fear that we're just going to head into some sort of catastrophic natural disaster sequence that will wipe out the planet anyway. But this is not necessarily the case, would you say?
Not in the short term. The controllers do have technologies that they are using to create disruptions. This, a moment please. This will undoubtedly create issues and circumstances where people will have to relocate from their homes. We do not see this as being extremely widespread. If, in the event, it does become worse, we do wish to see humanity come together in an even greater, stronger way, helping each other through these very difficult times, showing this channel is having different.
So that was the end of the message. That was all we were able to transmit, so to speak, this time. But a strong and positive message.
Very strong, very positive. Something to think about, something to ponder. Keeping yourself a high priority in healing will allow you to assist other people on their journey. And I know most of you, whenever we talk to you, I mean, like all of you, really have a strong desire to help other people. The best path to helping other people is to see to it that you yourself are whole, because everybody's experiences are so unique. You want to be able to help someone in a manner where if they say what is going on with them, you could tell them, well, when I was on this path, this happened to me, this is how I handled it. And a lot of times that'll work for the person that you've been drawn to, or the soul that you've been drawn to assist, because you're in the same soul stream. You're talking to that person for a very, very good reason. And it's to assist them on their path. But you yourself, it's best if you can become whole.
Absolutely. So the path to reintegration, again, that knowledge that we are fractals, it certainly helps us to completely understand some things that were said to be a divine mystery, such as how could Yeshua say, I and the Father are one? Because he knows that he understands how this works. That he is, if we were to use the Sanskrit term jiva, an individual being, yet there is the whole, and we are a part of that whole. Ultimately, everything is consciousness again. everything is consciousness. And as she referred to these bodies, you know, when we're done with these suits, then we no longer need them. Now, you know, there are times when the suits themselves can even be translated into a body of light. And with Yeshua, for instance, what we have gotten from our communications with him is that, you know, he didn't die on the cross in his 30s. He actually ascended in his 50s without physical death, and, you know, transformed into the light body. And again, it's all about developing our Merkabas in this time period, because the Merkaba is a vehicle of a higher density, of travel through the higher densities, so you can view it as the higher dimensions. And with a fully activated Merkaba, all you have to do is think along the terms of, well, let's see, I want to go to Lyra. Boom, you're there. I want to go to the Pleiades. Boom, you're there. It's just like that. It's so amazing what we will be able to achieve as we integrate back upwards and kind of discover who we really have been the whole time.
And discover our path after path after path and who we are becoming, because this isn't just, you know, a single rodeo. This is many rodeos put together to create a beautiful story. And you are just one gorgeous thread in a giant tapestry. And I guess if you guys could stand back and see yourselves as that thread in the tapestry, you could see how beautiful you are and how much you stand out and how unique you are. But all of these threads need to come together to show the bigger picture of that. Yes.
So it's a beautiful thing. The heart chakras are blossoming. We are growing. We're on the path to reintegration. And you are a beautiful being with amazing, amazing abilities, creative abilities. And it's all just starting right now. I mean, this whole journey in these darkest times, in some ways, you know, the darkest times can be the greatest teachers to us about who and what we really are, and will we rise above it, and will we manifest that vision of a heavenly earth. It's all up to us.
It's all up to us.
Exactly. So thank you guys for your support on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. Also over on Ko-Fi, where you could do a one-term donation to help the channel, or you can also do the same thing as on Patreon with the recurring donation and medicinal foods, beautiful people, beautiful products. Use coupon code EEA for an extra 5% off your order. There's a link to medicinal foods at the top of every video. And as always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.